Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Discovery Pod with Eve. We've got a very exciting episode today with someone who's actually my acting teacher, Peter Allas. We'll delve into Peter's background in a minute. I am hosting today's episode with my friend, actress, model, briefcase number 16 from NBC's show Deal or No Deal, Jessica Lee. Jessica, welcome back. It's so good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be back. This is great. I'm so excited.
I am, and of course, Jessica, there's so much that you've been doing so much. And tell our audiences what you're currently working on besides the exciting news that she's getting married in a few months.
So aside from working on my wedding, I'm very excited to launch a new series on my social media platforms where we're integrating fashion, styling, but with real talks. We're going to touch on things like mental health, depression, dating, relationships, friendships, work environment stuff, challenges that you might face in everyday life, just things that you need to talk about, right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so that's congratulations. And Jessica, one of the things we talked about on a previous show is all of the work you're doing, volunteering out there, and we've got to talk about all the hours you put in during the LA fires. I mean, it is incredible to see the dedication, the passion that you have for giving back. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, for me, I've always found that there is so much healing in helping. And one of the best things that you can do as a human is realize that there is no act of kindness that is too small. And I think a lot of people get trapped in this idea that it has to be something grand. And that's actually not true. Open the door for someone, offer to help someone carry their bags. If they're trying to push 2 shopping carts, offer if you can be of assistance. During the rains recently in LA, I actually collected a bunch of the emergency blankets, which are wind resistant and waterproof, and started handing those out to the individuals who did not have tents. Just something small. It doesn't cost a lot. And it can mean so much to people. And I think, honestly, that's one of the key things to help keep us human and to keep us alive, to keep that sense of community. And the thing about kindness is it has a ripple effect. And when you do something nice for someone, especially if they're having a hard time or a bad day, they will likely remember it. And at some point, they will probably do something nice for someone else, whether it's themselves, their loved ones, their neighbors, a stranger. And really, that's why I do it. That's why I love all the humanitarian causes, because on some tiny little scale, I feel like it can make a little bit of a change.
That's incredible. Congratulations on all you're doing out there. And I think it's time for you to go ahead and introduce our special guest today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for our special guest today. Today we have the privilege and honor of having renowned actor, director, and producer Peter Allas in studio with us. So he is a master acting coach, and let me tell you, his career is expansive. He has been on so many shows, I guarantee you have seen it, whether it's The Sopranos, Seinfeld, Chicago, the recent show, Running Point, which, by the way, amazing. Loved that. MacGyver, Veronica's Closet, Boston Legal, Blacklist, so many dramas. And he also has a huge passion and background in theater. With the LATCC, he has worked with David Mamet, one of the biggest playwrights in the world. I can't wait to hear from Peter. Enough about me. Gosh, let's hear it from the all-star actor, producer, director, Peter Allas.
Wow. Can I take you everywhere to introduce me? That's my mom would have liked to have heard that anyway. Well, thank you so much. Thank you both for having me. I really appreciate being here, and thank you to your team as well. Let me start by the humble beginnings. A tough guy from the south side of Chicago, who dreamed of being a center in the NBA and was 5'10" at the age of 12 and was pretty damn good. Had a family of people that played college ball, and then the growth spurt stopped. And the coach, Rick Pitino at Boston University, saw me shooting around one day, and he said, "Heard you're a pretty good actor and director." So the rest was history, as they say. No, and I was blessed too. At a young age, I was influenced. My dad was a concert violinist, and as probably a lot of people know, in their lives, my family came from Europe, and they were immigrants, and my father was encouraged to get a real job, as they said, not be an artist.
Greek.
Yeah, well, he was offered to go to Vienna, and that didn't work out for him because they wanted a real job, and he was phenomenal. Ended up playing Chicago Symphony, and my mother was a wonderful pianist and an actress as well. And they did a play called Period of Adjustment on the lake in Chicago, which I guess was the birth of my acting career before I was born. And then what started to happen was they encouraged me with the arts and comedy. So I went as a young child to a guy named Ted List for acting, the Spolin Games, and eventually went to Second City at a very young age. And then, of course, being a Southside Chicago guy, I had to, of course, be born into the Mamet Mafia, later to have met and worked with David Mamet and my uncle, rest in peace, the great J.J. Johnston, Jack Wallace, and, of course, thankfully, brought me back to my directing career was Joe Mantegna. I got to work with him when he did Lake Boat at the Old Tiffany Theater, which kind of brought the revival back of my directing career as well. So I started out as a comedian and an athlete and a magician and a martial artist and like a fool, a boxer. And then from directing, I was encouraged by a wonderful man named Milton Katselis, who was a renowned teacher here for many, many years and a Broadway director and filmmaker who made the career of many people, including the mother of someone that I worked with, Kate. Well, he worked with Kate Hudson as well, but Goldie Hawn.
And Theo Pangilius, who
Theo
was
Pangilius, yes.
one of our first guests during season 1. Yeah,
Who's
he was his assistant.
And I say, when I grew up, I want to be Theo Pangilius. That's my show.
He was one of the first, right, Roger? He was the first guest we interviewed on the podcast during season 1. You know, Peter, you are actually my acting coach. Right. And so I've worked with Peter for so many years. And I have to say this to everyone listening. Peter is so dedicated because Peter helped prepare me for A Line of Fire, Joan Riker, Mr. X. Peter would come to my house at 6:30 a.m. That's the type of dedication that Peter really is.
She had good coffee.
No, seriously. And at the time, because Peter used to live in LA, then he moved to San Francisco. He's back in LA, but he was living in San Francisco. And I cannot thank Peter for having someone who's so dedicated to the craft and as a teacher as well. It's like, when I see Peter do a scene, I'm like, oh my God, Peter, you got to do this over because he is that good of a teacher.
Well, thank you. But a lot of it comes from training. I studied at Boston University and also a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, and then Fordham University, and I worked under Circle Repertory Company, which later introduced Steppenwolf Company. So many of the actors you know now that are working kind of came from that line, where David Mamet, Teresa Rebeck, John Bishop, the playwrights go on that I learned from story structure and writing, from directing as well in the New York theater, and then later getting my break thanks to a wonderful casting director by the name of Bonnie Timmerman, gave me a shot with Miami Vice, and then later on a show called Crime Story as a little kid. So I got to work with some people that I really idolize, and Michael Mann. But life goes full circle. I got to working with a lot of their related family members, which helped my career. But made a big decision to come out to LA. And that's when I shifted towards a lot of acting, because there was more acting jobs here than there were directing and theater. And then I got back to full circle around 96 with an award-winning play by John Patrick Shanley called Savage in Limbo. And I've worked off-Broadway with Shanley as well, and recently worked with Yasmina Reza, did a revival, the first revival here of God of Carnage. And then we just recently did Dinner with Friends by Margley. So I love theater. Theater is my passion. But I also was blessed. My first short film won multiple awards all over the world. It was something I did not write, but I did direct, and we did a few tweaks with it, and it's what I call a psychological horror. So, but that was during the pandemic, so I wasn't able to travel to all these wonderful places like Greece and Spain where I won. But I did appreciate Austin, Texas. There was some good ribs there, so that was great.
That's wonderful.
But getting back to the main thing with ZA, so I studied with a guy named Milton Katselas for many years, and that's when I met my business partner, Robert Zimmerman. I have about over 20 years under Milton, and Rob has about 10. And I was teaching, and then I was doing my own thing, and then I was working at one point under Milton, and Milton had passed. And I spoke to Rob, and I said, if we're going to do this thing, let's do it together. We joined it up, and the main venture started in San Francisco, where he originally had started as well. And we built a hell of a base, I think. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and it just shook the world as we know it, and the arts world. So then we started doing Zooms, and the Zooms built up. And then Hawaii built up for us. So we have, our main school is in San Francisco at Union Square at 414 Mason Street. And we have 2 locations here. We have one in North Hollywood at Theater 68. And we're about to start a Tuesday morning class on January 6th, I believe, is the first Tuesday of the year. We'll be doing that at the Pico Playhouse.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So people, that have their night things happening, which is great. And of course, Honolulu, Hawaii, it's called TAG, the actors group. We've been doing that for a couple of years as well. So we're kind of all over the place, and I've bopped all over. But I have to give one quick plug in. I'm going to be going to Spain to be directing one of my favorite plays that I did in a workshop called Venus and Fur.
Congratulations.
And I'll be doing that, the first production in Spanish in Barcelona. Oh. That's right. You have to get the lisp when you say Barcelona, because we're doing it in Catalan. Oh. So that's a real exciting adventure for me. I love the play. I think it's been done to death, but in the wrong manner in many ways. So I'm blessed that the playwright David Ives is entrusting that what I bring to it is something a little bit magical. And then while I'm there, I was kindly offered to teach at something called the Global Stage. So keep a lookout for that somewhere on Instagram. But I guess I got to give my plug now. It's Peter Allas1 on Instagram, or you can reach me at peterallas1@gmail.com. But if you're in Spain, we're doing a little 4-week session there as well. So we'll get a little bit of what you get,
That's fantastic, Peter. I know you're busy. You're always busy.
Yeah, but I'll always make time for you.
You do.
We'll do the Zooms. I'll make time for you.
Oh, you do. And you helped me with the latest one, which I turned down, the one that I'm supposed to film in Australia and in India. So thank you. And Peter was in Greece as well. And so he knows, so thank you, Peter.
Yes.
Oh, that's so incredible. What a journey.
Yes, we're working on Denver. I know you're from Denver, so haven't got there yet. But I'm going to come out and say, because no one's ever really known, and I'm going to just finally come out and say it for the first time here, because I speak so many languages and I've done so many parts on television and even for voiceovers over the years. They always say, where are you from? What are you? So it's by the time I finally proudly say that I'm a proud Greek man. But if I looked at my career, you know that, but over the years, they're like, ¿De dónde vienes tuyo? Are you Argentina? Are you Spanish? Where are you
Italian.
from? Right?
A lot of
Tu sei
people
italiano,
Italian.
you fais français, you're Armenian, where are you from? Russian. Yeah. So I've played them all, thankfully, because my mother was a phonetics teacher. Oh. And she's in the book of Who's Who. So she gave me the structure for a lot of my dialect coaching and teaching that I give. So I was blessed in that regard. But I can just tell you on one hand the number of Greek roles I've played in my whole lifetime.
And Italian roles.
They don't write them. But I
guess you got to write them now. I mean, wow. What a foundation.
Yeah.
What a foundation that you've had. Oh, my goodness.
Well, living in different cities, living in Chicago, New York, Miami. I lived in Milan, Italy, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco. Oh. I study people. That's one thing that I coach that we've talked about with Eve is don't look at film. Don't look at television shows. Look at real people. Sit outside. We're kind of like in this little bubble in LA, which is worse than ever. That's why I love cities like Miami, San Francisco, Chicago. You sit on the lakefront, go down in by Brickell Avenue or go into Los Olas Boulevard or in Boston and the North End, as they say, the North End, and see people interact and listen and pay attention to them.
That's a good one,
100%.
Peter.
So not only
because
accents, but it helps study people.
it
So-
does. And that's something that you talk about at ZA constantly. I was at ZA for 2 years. There's so many people out there wanting to move to LA to study the craft. What advice would you give someone who's up and coming in the industry?
That's the question that I'm sure they ask even the bigger stars, and I only have one answer for that. My idol, because I was a sports guy, I loved two people. I loved Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I loved a guy by the name of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I studied martial arts at a very young age, and I think they're both philosophers in their own right. And I think the philosophy comes from a hard work ethic.
Yeah.
And it comes from a very spiritual being. One of my favorite phrases by Bruce Lee was, "Be careful what you say, your body is listening." That's number one. And then my other great one is the great John Wooden, the UCLA basketball coach, who has something called the Pyramid of Success, which is what I base my teaching on as well. And the bottom of the pyramid, one of the basic things is there's no substitute for hard work. We're all looking for the quick fix, especially now. Everyone wants that quick fix. I'll just hire a coach for like in one day and I'm shooting the next day. It doesn't work, as you know.
Yeah.
It takes time
It does.
on anything you do, even
Like
cooking.
with my
Yes.
latest project, what I did was straight shot. I think we spent a period of 2 months, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
We took a break, but we spent quite a bit of almost 3 months. Even when I was shooting, Peter was available. I mean, Peter is so dedicated. I got to put it out there. Like, Peter was like, if you need me on set, I'll fly and come there and be. That's how dedicated Peter really is. I'm very fortunate to work with someone
Oh my
like Peter who's
God.
so dedicated to the craft and to his students. And everyone would say this. Joan hosted
Right.
a while back, and Joan would say the same about Peter as well.
Jones had some wonderful success.
She
Some of the people we've had over the years,
Yes.
not so much.
Donna was on the accountant too.
Well, we had William B.J. Bryant, who was on Greenleaf and on one of the soap operas I know. But prior to that also, when I first started with Rob, there was Monica Barbara, who's done quite well for herself now and moved on and done beautiful things. And I think she's about to do the National Theatre somewhere in London of La Maison Dangereux.
That's amazing.
So person of my own heart, going back to doing theater. I've coached a woman by the name of Bevan Brew for many years, who was on, I think it was Batwoman, and now she's on another new series. And of course, one of my favorite students is Michelle Mao, who was going to Berkeley full time with straight A's, and that still wasn't enough. And she was coming to every single class that Rob and I taught. She found a way. She hustled down. When I was directing a show here, she took a bus and came down
Wow.
for a rehearsal. And I had to get back to class. And I said, "No, you're staying for the show. I'm flying you back up there." And now the proof is in the pudding. She's worked quite a bit, and she's one of the new stars of Bridgerton. She's the first Asian actress and the first American actress hired, and the first to do a British accent. So one for our team, for Rob and I, thankfully.
That's
So
incredible.
take a lot of pride in that.
Of course, totally. That's incredible. And one thing that I have to say as well about Peter, one of the students who he flew her from Amsterdam,
Oh,
Francesca,
yes.
like he literally
Francesca
is that
Boyd.
committed to his actors.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention also, we have also a student back and forth on and on who's been starring in Cirque du Soleil, at the Bellagio, who's a wonderful singer and actress. Camilla Bachmann, who has her own album out as well, who
Amazing.
one day I'll be doing a cabaret show with her as well. I like to venture out. I've directed drama, I've directed comedy, I've directed dark noir, of course, for film. And one of my next ventures, of course, is to get back to doing what I started, which is the musical theater and eventually a cabaret show. Can you sing, Jessica? Thinking, I'm looking,
As you know, Denver didn't have a very big entertainment scene, so I was rather limited in what I could do with my creative outlets. So I actually started doing theater, musical theater.
There we go. See?
Was the youngest person to be accepted into the National Thespian Society. And
Wow.
so I love hearing this because one of my favorite things about theater was the live audience and that energy that you feed off of, and also the fun of things going wrong and everyone as a team picking up the pieces and just like improving it a little bit and filling in the blanks because you don't have a cut and a reset and a take number 53.
Yeah.
It is there. People are seeing it. And there's
yes.
something that really is so invigorating about that, but it also is such a testament to a true actor and to your acting chops because you really get to use those muscles. And for everyone listening, Peter is the co-founder of the ZA Studio, which is, as you've heard, an amazing professional acting studio. Although, with your schedule, how does one get into this studio? Or do you have a very high criteria for entry?
Well, my partner says, Rob, which I think is wonderful. He says, we're the studio of whatever works. And what I mean by that is that Milton Katselas was a great influence on me, among many other mentors. By the way, Rob also came from wonderful background with La Jolla Playhouse, and particularly the Old Globe with Jack O'Brien, who's actually a dear friend of my uncle's as well, and was a dear friend of Milton's. So we have this kind of East Coast, West Coast training behind us, but also our life experiences as well, in all different forms of the media has helped. So we look at everybody as a possibility. We don't believe that you're not right or you don't have the talent. I don't believe that. Proof is in the pudding with some of the athletes you see that they go, oh, this guy will never make it, and he becomes a big star or whatever. So I believe the same with actors. We call them the unlikely winners because people thought, oh, they have no shot. And I think you got a shot, but it's all about the hard work, the commitment. I don't want to say like a rate or commitment to excellence, as they say, or Lombardi's famous line is we're going to search for perfection, strive for it. You're not going to hit it, but you're going to strive for it. Hard work. I keep repeating hard work. Number one, it's the only way that I know. My family has done very well. I've got a cousin who's a big sportscaster named Lou Canellis out of Chicago, who's you probably know Lou. So we're the ones that are the outcasts. We're the artists in the family. The others have done very well. And my running joke is when I go to their homes, they go, man, I wish I had your life. And I go, man, I wish I had your house. But hard work is the answer.
Yeah.
And there's no substitute for it, whether it's getting on social media and doing that work, whether it's training physically your body. The Greeks say, train the mind, train the spirit, train the soul. You got to work on all the above. I'm not quoting that quite right, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about. And what we have is this fix of like, I'll just take a quick cold reading class and that'll solve that. Not even close. Not even close.
And I can attest to that because I was a ZA for 2 years. It's a lot of hard work in the sense that every week you either there's a play or there's a movie that you get to watch because they want you to watch this to study other actors. And you're doing scenes with other actors as well. And I think it really helps prepare you for the next level. And it's one of those places that it's about working hard and also learning how it is being on set or what the expectations are.
We do a lot of that. Like we'll do what we call a shoot, which is you don't rehearse on a certain scene, but you come in expecting to be fully makeup, wardrobe ready. And I've incorporated the camera now in the last year, which has been fully needed. We even do things, the Zoom I think is very helpful and it's not utilized enough because you're dealing with Zoom auditions. My dear friend who's my casting director for most of my projects, Michael Donovan and Richie Ferris, they've been wonderful. They're like other directors and they help. They're behind you. By the way, I want to acknowledge also the casting directors in general. People look at them as the enemy. They're not. Your job is to come in great and solve their problem and make it easier. So I'm going to be working hopefully soon with a guy named John Levy, if you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful casting director. He's got a little book out. John has got a few things coming up in the future. I know he's trying to do a show in New York as well as myself. Raising money's certainly a challenge these days. But these are wonderful casting directors, and it's about time the Academy finally acknowledged them this year, which I saw they're giving the award for casting director at the Academy Awards. Long overdue.
Yeah. So, Peter, one of the things we also have to talk about, which I think with one of the teachers, Christine.
Yes, Christine
Kalugin and her partner who passed away.
Carl Weathers, yes,
yeah,
who was
Carl Weathers,
who was a friend of the
also
studio.
a guest teacher of which was incredible for ZA.
Wow.
Yeah, we were very, very blessed. I mean, Christine is a wonderful teacher. She's experienced so many different things in her life and studied with so many different masters. And I think Carl, in many ways, was a master. So just being with him for many years, you're going to learn quite a number of things. We also have some other wonderful teachers. Before I forget, we have Tom Kokinis, we have Carolyn Copton.
I've done scenes with Tom.
Yeah,
and he's
Jeffrey's
incredible.
son as well. And then every now and then Joe Bazile pops in for us, and Lisa Pesha. All wonderful people that have trained at least 10 years with Rob and I, or at the Beverly Hills Playhouse under under Milton Katselas.
Is Tashima still?
Sorry?
Tashima? Is she still?
Oh, that's right. Forgive me. Tashama Williams.
Williams.
Don't ask me to say her new Ukrainian name. I can't say it. But
She just got married.
yeah. But anyway, so yeah, getting back to, we've been blessed with Carl really coming in and doing some wonderful things for us, because I think he was a master athlete, master director, and I think a very underrated, if possible, actor as well. So we were very blessed. We've had wonderful guests over the years. And one thing I'm looking forward to, every Christmas, I am blessed with some wonderful friends from Broadway to television to film to producing to directing that come to our studio Christmas week, when you should be just doing nothing but with your family. People from the likes of Anne Gerson, a wonderful Academy Award nominated editor, Julia Nixon, Kelly Hugh, John Dolman. The list goes on and on of people that have come to guest for us. A wonderful dear friend of mine who's a wonderful director as well. I'm going blank now. Tim, forgive me, I'm going blank on Tim's last name. It's called old age, is what happens.
No, Peter, you're not old.
But anyway, we have so many wonderful people come in and guest for us, and I'm excited for what's up and coming this year as well at the ZA studio. So reach out, drop in if you're interested. If not, we also do private coaching, as you know, as well.
Of course.
Unless, of course, I get caught up in Jessica Lee's whole thing. I might be shifting my whole career shortly. I don't know.
And we got to acknowledge Peter was actually a guest in season 1, and Peter was at the time he was living in San Francisco. He was flying in, and there was something.
There was a delay. I was stuck in Vegas for 6 hours, and you don't want to be with cash in your pocket stuck in Vegas at the end. And so, yes, we did the interview as I was on the plane, taking off, holding the phone in my hand. That was quite something.
It was.
But that's what we do. That's what we teach.
Oh, yes. The show must go on, right?
You make it work.
So, Peter, we're moving into 2026, and you just talked about going to soon. So when do you go to Spain?
Spain starts, I'll be teaching in Spain at Global Stage starting Monday and Tuesday nights, February 16th and 17th for four actual Mondays and Tuesdays. And I'll be in rehearsal, which I've already started pre-rehearsal this past fall with Venus and Fur with Gina Arran and Byron Hay, two wonderful actors from Barcelona, España. And again, we have a wonderful translation for the production. That'll be opening up, I believe, March 4th. So I'm very excited about that.
How long are you going to be in Spain?
I'm only going to be there for the first 2 weeks of the production, finishing up the teaching, and hopefully I will not have spent all my teaching and directing earnings on clothes and food and wine, and the government's going to look at me like, what's in those suitcases, buddy? What's happening there?
Peter is constantly traveling, and they teach in Hawaii, so he's going back and forth every other...
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm leaving Friday for Hawaii. We have a little...
Christmas party.
Well, that'll be in January over there. And then, I don't want to get my partner nervous, but I'm looking at a near future of some other cities. I know that Vegas and Atlanta have been calling, but I got to tell you, it gets real tiring traveling. It's very hard on the relationships, and it's hard on your body. But I think we have such a passion for giving. Our philosophy is the 4 A's, but the most important A of acting is attitude. I always say I can't direct or teach attitude. Again, sports coach mentality. You have a bad attitude, the coach puts you on the bench or you're off the team. You know?
I gotta say this about Peter as well. One thing that I know, he's so dedicated. When I was preparing for this role that had to film in Australia and India, Peter was in Hawaii, 5 a.m. in the morning. I was having calls with Peter at 5 a.m. his time.
Not her 5 a.m., my 5 a.m.
He's 5 a.m.
She won't do 5 a.m.
I was like, Peter, that's insane. I mean, that is how dedicated he is to the craft. 5 a.m. Like, what?
But we believe in the success as much as Rob and I are very happy for our own success. You know, in a weird way, I feel like I'm boasting here, but I really don't like to boast because I get the greatest joy when our students have success. You know, my mother was in the book of Who's Who for many teachers, and one of the beautiful blessings is the week of her passing, students of 20 years prior flew in to see her. So that left a mark on me, knowing that that's the kind of teacher that she was, that 20 years later they flew from all over the country, knowing she was passing to be with her and acknowledge her. So I'm getting a chance to give, by the way, on January 23rd, I will be back at my high school, Hillcrest High School in Jamaica, New York, with hopefully Fran Drescher as well, who came from my high school a number of years before me, and multiple other award-winning people. Super excited to honor my teacher that influenced me by the man of Dr. Stephen Posner. And we are dedicating the theater to him. So I really wanted to give a plug in to that particular event because he changed my life.
Wow.
I know that he definitely saved me from a bad basketball career as well. But he was the one that had said, you're a natural, besides performer, a director and teacher as well. And then what a great honor it was when I was up for the award in Florida for the Carbonell, which later I won. He got to see me do Glengarry Glen Ross, again, another Mammoth show. And it was a nice surprise. He showed up, and I was very emotional that night to come full circle to see him after all those years. That's incredible. Talk about support. In order to get support, you got to give support. And that's part of our philosophy. We believe in tremendous support, supporting you and you, Jessica Lee, and Roger, of course, and the whole team for having me here. So thank you.
It's incredible. So obviously I'm part of ZA, but there are so many people out there who might wonder, how does someone get involved with, coming to, is the website? I mean,
yeah, the obvious thing is you have to reach out, go online to zastudiola@gmail.com, or you can go look at our website. It's zastudio.online. And as far as some private coaching, if you're looking for me, it's peterallas1@gmail.com as well. And again, peterallas1 on Instagram. And of course, I specialize in accent coaching. I don't necessarily teach it at the school. I've done it on special occasions. But that's been one of the biggest things that I coach, because now the demand, we gotta beat the Brits and the Aussies. I'm not happy. All due respect, I love them. I have friends that are British and Aussie, as they say, but why are they getting the jobs that we should be getting? So thank you, Michelle Mao, who's on Bridgerton. Thank you. And for all the opportunities that I've had with the casting directors that have brought me in that have not prejudged my ethnicity, and just, can I be that person? Not can I copy an accent, but can I be that person? I have to share a funny story. So Georgianne Walken, who is Christopher Walken's wife, brought me in for The Sopranos. And many years ago, I had a shot at a much bigger role that I was not able to do because I was doing General Hospital, and I won't get into why or what happened there. That was very disappointing. But thankfully, they remembered me and David Chase, so she called me in. And I was in New York at the time, luckily, and I was in the office, and she screamed at the other people, if you can't do a Neapolitan accent, don't waste my time. I'm not mad. And I get it. That's what Milton talked about. So I saw half the room exit.
Wow.
And I said, oh God, I hope I can do my Neapolitan. So I pulled it off just enough. And then I went down to Little Italy. This is my philosophy, my teaching. So I went down to Little Italy, and I see a wonderful little old lady named Annette. And then she's carving a little apple sitting in one of those straw chairs in front of her store down in Little Italy in the middle of the day. And I said, "Mi scusi, signora, io sono scrittoio." I'm taking a test. I'm a writer. Could you help me with some linguistics? I never said I was an actor or director. Never. So I asked, what's the difference between Italian, proprio, we call proprio italiano, and then, of course, Sicilian versus Neapolitan. So I spent hours and hours with her.
Wow.
I go back, see David Chase, who I had met previously. I do this perfect Neapolitan. Anyway, I get to play a wonderful role. Ironically enough, I played the hitman to someone that I coached, wonderful actress Sophia Milos. So I'm doing this Neapolitan. And then later, the show airs, and about 6 months later, I go back to Little Italy, go down to that street, and I say, "Ciao, signora, ti ricordi? Do you remember me?" She goes, "No." She goes, "Madonna mia," which means, "Oh my God." She goes, "You're the guy." I said, "Yes, I'm the guy from Sopranos, but I lied to you. I said I was a writer. Thank you so much." Aww. So that's part of my philosophy. Like I say, never reveal that you're either a talk show host or an actress or a model, or say something else. Get to know these people so they can endure you. I know one thing for sure. Policemen do not like it when I say I'm an actor studying something or a director or filmmaker. They'd rather I be just a regular person writing an essay for a university or something. But I will say one thing. Thank you to law enforcement. It's helped me a lot of my directing and acting as well. So anyway,
No, I think
fun
that's
little
great.
stories, yeah.
In terms of people out there looking to, and one other question that I have, because people are going to say, but what differentiates ZA from other acting schools? Because there's so many acting
and that's a great
schools out
question. Well, like Rob says, we are the chapel of whatever works, meaning whatever method. If you need to meditate before a scene, do it. You need to jog or box, do it. Whatever it takes to get prepared. And I've experienced all of it, and so has Rob. And so has all of our teachers. So you can't say something to us that we don't know because of our background of training, because of my multiple background with boxing, magic, sports. I also was a dancer in New York City under Phil Black's studio. So there's nothing you can't tell me that I haven't experienced, the highs and lows, the pain. There's only two things I've never done in this business, and that's star in a series or star as the star at a studio film. Otherwise, I've experienced it all. I've had dinner with the great Mike Figgis and Spike Lee in the hills of Naples, Italy, at a big festival. And like I told my cousin who was with me that day, he says, "Man, it's like traveling with the Beatles and Elvis." I said, "You just came from Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman." I said, "It's going to be all downhill as of Monday, trust me." You know, that's this business. So don't get too high and don't be too low. Keep, as my teacher would say, sweeping the alley, stay focused, stay steady, do your work, do your hard work, be consistent.
Yeah.
And don't let the negativity get in your ear. Wipe your feet. Just like athletes do, they don't bring that to the court. Don't bring it to your rehearsal. Don't bring it to your audition.
That's so true.
And you got to think positive. You got to visualize, pulling a page of the good Phil Jackson book, but you got to visualize and see the win, see the victory.
So you've got you're going to Spain. What about any other projects that you have for next year? TV, more TV?
Yeah, well, if I'm in talk with a wonderful writer about a potential series. I won't mention it now, but it's about kind of like the Greek mafia. We'd be shooting in Astoria and Greece. But of course, that requires a lot of money to raise. I also have a wonderful script with a wonderful writer that we've been trying to put together for 2 years now. And as you all know, I've talked to my friends in finance. It's been a little rough the last year, but I've got a wonderful script that if all goes well, I think next year I'm going to have close to $3 million and get this movie off the ground. It was original title was The Lottery, but I like our new title called Dead Giveaway.
Nice.
And it's kind of like in the vein, if you will, of a dark comedy caper, which I think is a bestseller. And then I've been trying to get a revival off the ground, which I've had the rights to for years, with a wonderful actor that I've worked with numerous times named Jack Formas. He starred in 3 of my plays, which you saw God of Carnage.
I did last
He
year.
was in, and he was also in Dinner with Friends, and he also was in Farragut North that I did. Thank you to Bo Willimon, by the way, who's the writer of House of Cards. Yeah. And so I've been working with Jack on developing a Broadway production, the first revival actually for Broadway of a play which I love, dear to my heart. And there was a movie with Danny DeVito done with it. And, oh God, see, this happens. You go, Other People's Money. Thank you very much. Jerry Sterner was the writer. Other People's Money. So we had it, and Other People's Money did fall out, but we're working on that one again. So
how do you have the time anyway? You're so busy. You're teaching. You're this. You're all over the world.
You're all over.
Like,
no grass grows under this boy's feet.
Wow.
And by the way, I'm also a hell of a cook. I got a cooking degree from Italy too. So
he said so.
up at a
Oh
restaurant.
my goodness.
Oh
wow.
my.
Roger has just given us the 3-minute mark. So Peter, the last question is,
Oh, I thought it was the finger. I don't know why I was pissed off. I was like, Roger, come on.
if you could have dinner with 3 people dead or alive, who would it be and why?
God, that's a great question. Well, I mentioned Bruce because I was friends with his son Brandon, rest in peace also.
Aww.
So Bruce would be one. My mom.
Oh,
She passed away this year.
I'm so sorry.
I'd like to have that dinner back with her.
Yeah.
And then this is something a little
His
bit
mother
unique.
passed away just
Oh.
about a month ago.
Very,
as well.
very sorry for you as well. We have to appreciate the moments that we have with them. And then the third one's kind of unique. It's nobody particularly famous, but I'd have to go back to the great Greek sages. I'd love to pull somebody from way back when in the Greek theater when it all
Peter,
began.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me,
coming.
both of you.
I mean, what an amazing,
This is
insightful-
such a privilege to meet you. And, I think I'm going to have to pop into the ZA studios, or I'll try to make a good coffee and see if I can get some coaching too.
Sounds good. First session's free. First session's free.
Peter, it's been so wonderful having you. Obviously, I have quite a few things next year, so I'm gonna be knocking on your door very soon.
Thank you so much.
Peter. Safe travels, Jessica. What an amazing episode with Peter. So insightful to all of the actors out there, right?
And inspiring. Just, my goodness.
I mean, it's incredible, amazing. Thank you, Peter, for all you're doing out there to support actors and someone like me as well. Roger, thank you for producing Archer.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you for being behind the camera. And he recently lost his mom less than a month ago, so he could relate to what you're saying because you lost your mom as well. Thank you everyone for watching. Remember to watch us every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms. Remember to stop by next week. You never know who's going to stop by. Until then, have a great day. Bye, and thank you, Peter.
Andrio,
Thank you,
ciao,
Jessica.
mahalo, all the above.
All the above. Safe travels, Peter.